Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. Reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "This is my commandment. Love one another as I love you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I no longer call you slaves, because a slave does not know what his master is doing. I have called you friends, because I have told you everything I have heard from my Father. It was not you who chose me, but I who chose you, and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. This I command you: love one another." The Gospel of the Lord. One of the great blessings of my previous assignment in Rome was serving the missionaries of charity. And on one occasion, I was asked to go give a retreat to a group of novices down in Nairobi, Kenya. And so I flew down there and gave the retreat. The house, of course, was in one of the worst parts of Nairobi, the Huruma slums. And at the end of the retreat, they had the profession of the novices and then a reception. And at the reception, the sisters had made a banner that hung in the courtyard of the convent, and it was a line from Mother Teresa, which said, "Give until it hurts, and give with a smile. Give until it hurts, and give with a smile." Jesus says, "Love one another as I have loved you. And there is no greater love than to lay down our life. In imitation of the Lord, to become the seed that falls to the earth and dies. And from that seed that dies bears fruit 100-fold. Now, in our fallen state, we are not inclined to this kind of self-giving. That in our fallen state, we tend to cling to ourselves. We cling to what is ours. And it's a type of palsy that we are afflicted in the soul. And so in the Christian life, the Lord is calling us in this commandment to give ourselves, and it's like opening us up, and it hurts. That's why Mother's saying, "Give until it hurts." You know, another story about that is when she went to a family in Detroit one time who wanted to give her money for the work, and she never was into any sort of fundraising. In fact, she forbade fundraising in her community. But this family wanted to give her some money, so they call her up, and she went during one of her visits to the United States, and she went to the office, and they said, "Mother, we'd like you to have this." And it was a check for $1 million. And she looked at it, and then she looked disappointed. And the person who gave the money said, "Mother, what's the matter?" She says, "I was hoping you'd give me 6. Because she knew the person had not given until it hurt. Needless to say, that they took the check back and wrote her one for 6. Right? Give until it hurts. Give, and give with a smile. And why can we give? Why can we have a smile when it hurts? This refers to the homily yesterday about joy. Right? The joy, the supernatural joy, comes from self-giving. Right? And if the self-giving it hurts, if it involves suffering, That's how the joy can break out from within suffering, because the suffering is rooted in this self-giving. And that is why we can give ourselves until it hurts. We can lay down our lives with a smile, because the Lord's supernatural joy is operating in our soul. And when the Lord gives this commandment, notice what he does after. He knows it's a hard thing to hear. So what does he say next? I'm not telling you this, I'm not giving this commandment to slaves. I'm giving this commandment to you, my friends. You who I have made my friends through my self-giving. You are my friends. You are called into intimacy with the Father, with me, to have the same intimacy that I have with the Father. This is why I can give you that commandment, because I am bringing you into intimacy with the Father. And with that intimacy, you can give yourself all the way until death. And through that you may bear fruit. And don't worry about it. It wasn't you who chose me. It was I who chose you to bear this fruit. This is what the Lord promises us. It's not as if he gives us this commandment to do so that he may reward us. No, this is not Pelagianism. We can't earn our salvation this way. Rather, it was I who chose you. It is my work in you that will allow this to happen. And when the Lord chooses us, and we say yes to that, we give our free consent, which is how we cooperate with his grace. Then the Lord takes responsibility for the fruitfulness of our lives. Right? The fruitfulness of our lives is not left up to us and our efforts. When we say yes to the Lord and allow that grace to operate in us, then in all the ups and downs, so long as we stay with him, right, and we don't separate ourselves from him through mortal sin, then he is going to take responsibility for it, and he is going to make it fruitful. And so we don't have to, when we say about laying down our lives, it doesn't have to be this sort of heavy burden. Right? Jesus, it's the life of Jesus in us, and he is doing it in us with our cooperation. This I command you. Love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Give until it hurts, and give with a smile.